I can't even think about it. When you got one parent left, you can't.
I can't go there.
Even bring it up.
I drive her nuts because I'm like, please, just like be careful, take care of yourself all the time, please.
For me,
I need you. My kids need you. We all need you. You're the rock. So,
how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm
thrilled to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. Congrats on the show. I really loved it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Your mom is still with us.
My mom is still here. She, I've said this before, but she has very conflicted feelings about the name of the show.
Tell me about the conflicted feelings.
When I told her about it, I got the job, and she's like, oh, okay, well, I'll just be referring to it as my dear mom. So whenever we're texting about it, that's what she says. But she loved it. She's a big fan of the show. What a surprise!
What's your mom's name?
Sari.
Sari.
Yeah.
Spell it.
Sari. Like a sorry, but she pronounces it Sari.
You know what I thought it was first? Siri.
Okay, so my son has just discovered Siri, and he knows that Grandma, he calls her Gaga. Gaga's name is Siri. It's like really thrown him for a loop.
He's having a crisis right now.
He's like, is she the voice in the phone? I don't understand.
Tell me a little bit about how this came to you.
Like every other actor who's trekking along, I auditioned for it. And we actually made a little teaser video, a short, just like a 2-minute sort of proof of concept. Now, gosh, I think it's already been 3 years since we made that. Yeah. And then they kind of shopped that around for a while. And, Crave got on board and Megan got on board. And our amazing director, Chandler Levesque, got on board. And it was just this awesome crew of women. Wendy Litner, who created the show.
Yeah, and Wendy, the story I heard is that Wendy sort of went through something like this with the death of her own mom. Is that right?
Yes. So Wendy, this is, as true to Wendy's real story could be. Obviously, she was not actually visited by the ghost of her mom.
Sure.
But she had, feelings of that, and
sort of visions or sort of
and it was very similar to how the show opens, where she was experiencing this UTI and was in so much pain, and then all of a sudden could hear the voice of her mom being like, get over it, you're fine, you're strong, you can do this. So that's how she thought of the concept of the show.
What did she tell you about it when you got on board?
It's funny. Wendy she's just this light. She's such an incredible, smart, funny, just light of a woman. And she really kind of just left it all on the page. I think she wanted like Megan and I to kind of figure out our relationship and just sort of go with what was in front of us. I felt like I kind of had to be like, okay, Wendy, talk to me. Tell me about some real stories. Tell me some real stuff that happened with your mom. It's a really vulnerable thing that she did, because the relationship in the show between Emmy and Fern it's not an easy one. It's not, it's not all rainbows and roses. It's pretty tough. And I think it was incredibly vulnerable of Wendy to look at her own relationship with her mother with such a magnifying glass like that,
Yeah, like you are looking at this script that you have to act out, and you're going, oh my God, this is not just very personal to the person who wrote it, but this is quite vulnerable to the person who wrote
Incredibly
it.
vulnerable.
And you as an actor, you're thinking, if I'm not mistaken, I got to embody this tough, real, complicated relationship.
And I just wanted to do it justice because, again, she's just this incredible, amazing person, and I feel like I owe Wendy so much because this was such a gift. But she was so supportive and just held my hand through the whole thing and was my biggest cheerleader. I felt like I had to be like, Wendy, tell me if you want me to do it again. Tell me to do something different. She's really just, she's incredible.
Did you watch Anne of Green Gables growing up?
I didn't. It's funny.
Can I tell you something? Me neither.
Well, we are certainly in the minority.
Yeah, there's only, and I'm from the East Coast.
Yeah, I think you have to at some point. It's
Newfoundland, though, it's the PEI.
It's different.
It's the rival island, you know.
Yeah, don't tell Megan. We actually never discussed it, but I'm sure she hasn't seen Degrassi, so we're even.
I should point out Megan Follows, who plays your deceased mother,
yes,
became the biggest star in the world for a while because of
Anne
of Green Gables.
I know, and she's so good in this. First of all,
yeah,
I feel like it's not something we've really seen her do. Like, she's really funny in this show. So that was a real treat. And also, like, this was not a big, fancy, flashy production. Like, we shot the whole thing in 15 days, maybe. Like, the days were long. We didn't have dressing rooms. Like, it was really kind of bare bones. And she was so game. And just, like, we held each other's hand through the whole thing. I was really impressed.
Did you find yourselves talking about the experience of being mothers and daughters?
Yeah, she has a daughter, and they're very, very close. It's funny because we really got thrown into this. We didn't have a lot of time to rehearse. Chandler, the director, she really wanted that time, but just, how things go. It was like we had one day to kind of just throw ourselves into everything. And yeah, I think we had to just pull from our own experiences, which are, I can speak to my own relationship with my mom is very different from Emmy's relationship with her. My mom is like my best friend. We are so incredibly tight, and she is my biggest supporter. Really, I think the challenging thing for me with this was I lost my dad 10 years ago. And
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
You were how old?
I was 27.
I was 24.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, when I lost my dad.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
too.
but rough. I'll say this: rough years to lose a parent.
Yeah, it was bad. It was really hard. It was really hard. I felt like things kind of took a turn around 30. Like I had that time to really mourn and just be totally lost. And
what was his name?
Stan.
God love him, Stan.
Yeah, he was the best. He would have loved the show too.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is that this really made me think so much about losing my mom. I had that experience to draw from, but a father-daughter relationship is very different from a mother-daughter relationship. So I felt like that was what was driving my emotion through a lot of the shoot, was thinking about the inevitable that one day that will happen. See,
hey, I'm with you. I have, like yourself, I have one parent left.
Yeah.
When I think about, my mom listens to every show, by the way, so this is going to go back to her.
I know.
But when I have another friend of mine who lost a father young.
Yeah.
I can't even think about it. When you got one parent left, you can't. I can't even bring it up.
I drive her nuts because I'm like, please, just be careful, take care of yourself all the time, please.
For me,
I need you. My kids need you. We all need you. You're the rock. So, yeah.
You know what your show did make me think about, though? Not to get too real, but it did make me think about how, whether you believe in something supernatural or mystical at all, or whether you just have a conscience, or whether just you have lessons you've learned, there have been times in my life that I have felt his presence, or I have felt his voice kind of going, no, you got to do, that's the wrong thing to do, or don't do that. Make the right decision.
Absolutely. And even if that's some part of your brain just kind of playing a trick on you, it just kind of makes you feel better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just that comfort. Wendy, when we were doing that proof of concept, it was like we had one day to shoot, 10 pages or whatever it was. And it was really, we were just under the wire. And we have 2 scenes left and we're running out of time. And it was a gorgeous summer day, absolutely beautiful outside. And just as we're okay, we have about an hour left to get 2 scenes, this freak thunderstorm showed up and we lost power. And I remember our craft services was set up outside, and the poor sweet little craft guy was trying to hold down this tent that was about to blow away in this crazy storm. And Wendy just looked up at the sky and she was like, that's her. She's here. She's here. And I don't know how she feels about this.
That's beautiful. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's a beautiful little story.
And then I was like, oh, I get it. Okay, I get who Fern is now. She was a force, not to be messed with.
I was just thinking about you as a young, like, how long have you been working?
I started working when I was about 10 professionally. I was doing like community theater before that, but yeah. I was in the children's choir of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat with Donny Osmond when I was.
No way.
Yeah. I think I was maybe 9 when I did that and then started doing more professional stuff from there.
What do you remember about Donny? I got to ask that.
Not a whole lot. He was very sweet. He was kept very separate from us. But we did there was like one day when he, came to like hang out with us for an hour and everyone got to take their picture with him and he was cool.
Were your parents supportive of you wanting to be an actor?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think they were confused by the whole thing. Certainly not like a showbiz family. I do have a relative, like a cousin who's in the industry, but
do you really?
Yeah. Do you know who my cousin is?
No.
Do you know Spencer Rice? Like Kenny versus Spenny?
Yeah.
Spenny is my cousin.
You're Spenny's cousin?
Yeah. So that was like their only knowledge.
Well, your only knowledge of
that was their only knowledge of the industry was
two
like
people.
Well, this is like pre-Kenny versus Spenny,
Right.
but like they knew Spencer, who'd been like trying to make it as a writer, director, sort of actor for years, and they're like, I don't know about this.
Well, so they weren't showbiz parents. They weren't
Not
pushing
at
you.
all.
Okay.
Not pushy.
Right.
I think they knew that. I think they could see right away that I kind of just, had found something that just seemed to suit me. I tried dance and I tried skating and I tried karate and I tried this and nothing really seemed to hit with me until I started doing community theater.
How do you look back on that 10-year-old kid now?
I mean, I gotta say, like, I think it's pretty impressive being thrown into this adult world and having to handle all that pressure. I feel like I did a much better job of it back then than I do now. It's a lot. I feel like it's harder now. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool, and I owe it all to my parents that they were supportive and. They had to take off work and take me to auditions and stay on set. It was a family commitment. I should mention I have a brother, too, who was not in the industry at all. And, I'm sure he kind of suffered for that, too, because it did take up a lot you time.
Yeah, no one could take him to Wendy's because they were taking you to...
I know. Sorry, Tony.
You mentioned you have a kid now?
I do. I have two.
I have children. Do you mind if I ask how old they are?
Yeah, they are 4.5 and 1.5. So yeah, I think when I think about myself as a child actor, it's impossible not to think about the prospect of them wanting to do that.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
My husband's an actor too.
Is he?
And he started when he was even younger than me. I think he was 7 or 8.
Yeah.
So I know that that's coming. That whether it's people. Asking us if we want to get the kids into it or if they're eventually going to say, hey, like, this is what I want to do. I don't know. I don't really have much of an argument against it. But I would just encourage school. I didn't do that, so.
You didn't do school?
Well, not post-secondary.
Right. You'd encourage them to get a good education and all that
I
stuff.
think so.
And I bet it gives you compassion for your parents who are looking at you wanting to be an actor and going like, oh, my God.
What is she thinking?
They were just trying to figure it all out, too.
Uh-huh.
Can I ask about the Degrassi thing just for a second?
Sure.
The question I want to ask you, which is not something I've talked to you about, because you came on before. We did a little Degrassi quiz together. That was really fun.
Yeah. With Jake, right?
With Jake, yeah. But what was the social media world like when you were on Degrassi?
It wasn't. This was I remember getting a Twitter account when our TV movie, Degrassi Goes Hollywood, which was sort of like the culmination of my character's storyline, just as that was coming out. So I had already like done my run on the show before Twitter was even around. I remember message boards. I remember Television Without Pity. Do you know what that is?
No.
It was this pretty awesome message board where people would talk about like every show that was on television and had really, inspired things to say. And there was great conversation, but there was also like a horribly mean, awful things that were said too, that we had one computer in our tutoring room on set. And we would all be like going on, like trying to read on the message boards what people were saying. So, that was hell. But
yeah, I was going to ask you.
But we had it so much easier than anyone who's on television as a young person does now.
How did you handle all those sort of like negative outside voices and all that stuff?
I mean, everything I feel like is going to keep coming back to my parents, but they really did a great job of keeping me grounded. And I think the fact that there was, we had such a big cast and we were all kind of in it together. And I'm saying, like, yes, we looked at the message boards and we were doing press and we knew the show was big, but it wasn't like we were watching a follower count go up on our phone in real time. I can't even imagine. I can't imagine how that would affect the dynamics between cast members now, too.
X person has more followers than Y person.
Yes, because you're already dealing with like all of that teenage angst.
Yeah.
So adding that layer onto it as well, I'm very grateful to have not had to deal with that.
It does sound kind of nightmarish.
Yeah.
I know you made a short film sort of about this, but the Degrassi film is the fandom is so big.
Yeah, it really is.
That
it really is.
Do you still get called your character's name? When you're
sure.
Is it like called Paige sometimes?
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny because it was 25 years ago.
You're kidding, really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I started in 2000. But when I say it happens, God, I feel like I don't go out much because I got a busy house. But when I do, like, it still happens all the time. I can't believe it. I think that just really, it just speaks to the staying power of the show.
Have you ever gotten a free coffee or anything like that?
Have I gotten a free coffee?
Free drink at a bar?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Come on.
I'm sure over the years, for sure.
Do you want to know the most Canadian show business conversation that's ever happened on the show?
What?
Right there. So did you ever get a free coffee?
Being like, no. I feel like I used to try to, use it to like get into bars. And it's like, not here, not in Canada. Because you know what? No one cares here.
You've been acting for so long. I mean, you are at this stage in your life right now. I sort of alluded to it in the introduction. I think it's a really good stage to be in, where there's a whole new generation of characters available to you and roles available to you. How are you reflecting on that?
I'm so excited about it. That's why I was so excited about My Dead Mom, because it really is it's a mature role. It's a grown-ass woman. I think I'm so grateful for the experience of being on Degrassi and everything that it afforded me, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't completely pigeonholed by the show.
Yeah, really.
Oh, for sure. Just like, child actor. I think there's also, maybe a stigma around the style of acting from a show like Degrassi, that sort of after-school special style of acting. So I feel like still, all these years later, like I'm still trying to show people I can do more. I can grow past that. I have more to offer. So, a gift like this show has been, it's just been incredible to have that opportunity.
It is a grown-up role, man.
It is.
It really is. Like, I'm trying not to give too much away. It's second 15 is a grown-up role.
I know. My mother-in-law, she did not like that moment. I'll tell you that much.
I can't even say what it is on the radio.
I can't say that word.
Because I'll lose my job. And
yeah, first time for sure I've said that on film.
Now, aren't people going to go watch it because of that?
Be like, what is it? That's how we're trying. We got to get people to watch the show. We want to do a season 2.